Hello, everyone. I'm the Bodacious Cowboy with my co-host, Christy Knichel. Are you ready for a special edition of the Storytelling Chronicles? We are. Let's go.
Look out! Pop, pop, it's showtime. 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 Guess who's back again? Oh, they don't know. Oh, they don't know. I bet they know as soon as we walk in. Showed up. I'm wearing Cuban links. Yeah. Designer mix. Yeah. Inglewood's finest shoes. Whoop, whoop. Don't look too hard, might hurt yourself. Known to give the color red the blues.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Storytelling Chronicles. It is Memorial Day, the 27th of May. We're almost done with this month. I can't believe it, how fast that it went. I'm here alongside one of the best co-hosts that anybody could ever have, Christy Knichel. Hey, Christy, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I am doing fine for this holiday. Are you working?
I'm a little bit, unfortunately, but I'm good with it.
Yeah, same here. It is the logistics, and there really isn't any time off. So, oh well.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. That's for sure. And I think today was not the best day here in PA. So it was a nice day to get caught up on stuff too.
Yes, same here. We got thunderstorms rolling in right now. So I'll apologize to everybody out there if my internet cuts out. I know it's a little bit of a joke. I'm sorry, and we'll pick up when it comes back, hopefully. But I don't hope that it happens, but it is what it is. We have a great guest today. Ingrid Brown. She's a friend. She's a lady. She's a boss. Don't mess with her when she pulls into your dock. She doesn't take any crap. Let's bring her in. And she's probably laughing right now, too. So
there she is.
Ingrid, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? I had to make y'all fell out of the window. I had to fix you. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Well, we love that you're in your truck, which is just fantastic on Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I had to let a little bit of air out of my seat.
Well, listen, while you're adjusting, I'm going to speak a little bit about you here momentarily. So, everyone, if you don't already know, let me tell you about our little special guest, Ingrid Brown. She is a native of Boone, North Carolina, lives by nothing in life is simple. It takes hard work. In the end, it's a positive journey to success. Ingrid's 45-year career began and excelled as a professional truck driver of diversity as an independent owner and principal of Roland B. LLC, and currently a company truck driver with Blackjack Express LLC out of West Memphis, Parker, Arkansas. Diversified experience in the trucking industry as a refrigerated freight operations manager, certified broker, and driver of various commodities exemplifies a passion for transportation and logistics that she has. Ingrid is a charter member of the Women in Trucking Association. She currently serves on the 2024-25 WIT Board of Directors and has been a WIT inaugural Image team member since 2015. Ingrid was one of the 2022 WIT Women to Watch in Transportation and was a panelist speaker at the 2023 WIT Accelerate Conference. Ingrid has dedicated her driving career towards CMV safety and the safety of the general motoring public. Ingrid continues to work with the FMCSA in DC for safer highways as FMCSA CMV Voice of Safety with Our Roads, Our Safety campaign. Ingrid was also a panelist for the FMCSA Transportation Board Summit in 2020. And Ingrid, our little celebrity here today, can be seen and heard on billboards, radio, television, PSAs, Sirius XM, and social media as a FMCSA CMV safety advocate. Ingrid also was a speaker at the FMCSA 2020 Trucking Safety Summit 2015. She was selected on NASTC America's Road Team and NASTC Women Driver of the Year. In 2018, Ingrid was a TA Petro Citizen Driver honoree, and the Oklahoma City Petro was rebranded as Ingrid R. Brown, OKC Petro. That's awesome. And last but not least, in 2021, Ingrid was appointed to St. Christopher's Fund Driver Council and one of the 21 of the 50th anniversary Wall of Fame of the Mid-America Trucking Show. In March 2019, Ingrid was on the cover of the U.S. Today Money and the feature video acknowledging women in trucking industry. Ingrid's passion is mentoring women and others in the trucking industry to success by paying it forward. That's awesome background you have there.
Yeah, thank God she doesn't do that much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I wanted to read it all because I was just like, this is just so good.
Amazing.
But
I just drive a truck.
well, speaking
Okay.
of that, can you go back and tell our listeners a little bit how you got into the industry, why you got into the industry, and why you're still here?
Okay, I grew up in a road construction company, and my dad had, we had asphalt tankers, and we had dump trucks, and we had heavy haul, and we had, that kind of thing. So I always joke and say, everybody hears me say, I was probably the other boy my daddy didn't have. So that primpy boy, and anyway, I just loved, I love dirt. That's my second love is dirt. I went to college for dirt, infrastructure and building roads, dirt. But anyway, I just love driving trucks. And so it just kind of kept going. And my mother probably didn't speak to me for about 2 years after I decided that I was going to drive a truck. um,
Yeah, why?
well, because she wanted me to go into the other side of engineering and this kind of thing, and I always laugh and used to tell her, God rest her soul, and say she wanted me to be a debutante probably, but anyway, I just love the dirt. So that got me into trucking. I got a dump truck one for my 18th birthday. Like most girls get dump trucks for their 18th birthdays, and so it just stuck. Um, through my years with my girls, I still took the time. I mean, we had a farm and we raised chickens and cows, and we're down in the Vidalia onion country, so we raised Vidalia onions, and of course had to go to market, had to go to, so I was your girl. So that, of course, stayed throughout all of that. And I've been mainly a runner of the West Coast, from the East Coast, from North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee area, East Tennessee, to LA area, south to LA. Now I usually run south San Diego to Calexico area, from the Virginia around the Withville, Virginia area, North Carolina, Northwest North Carolina area. That's my main thing right now that I've done, and that's pretty much been my whole thing is the LA South. I've hauled cows, which I love for years. Also had a flatbed for 7 years, and I just love the diversity of it. I think I've probably pulled everything except a car hauler, and I'll tell you why I won't pull a car hauler. It's because you got to get up on the top deck, and you got to figure out how to get out of the car, and I would probably get stuck in the window and end up with my head on the ground, and therefore I'm not putting a wide load sign across my butt to get out of a car for a car hauler. It wouldn't work. But anyway, my hat's off to you guys that are hauling cars. But no, the diversity of it, I love the diversity. I've hauled explosive, hazmat, Phoenix Land to Airs. I've hauled DOD loads of going to Connecticut up to Hartford and loading, nailing 50 M16s across the bulkhead of my dry van, and going to Quantico to the FBI Academy, and I've just been blessed in that, hauling explosives to Alaska in the wintertime, and it's amazing what God has granted me with. So many of the things that you read about, I never went looking for any of those. I've just literally stuck my nose in the grind, and I don't just want to sit and drive a truck. I always wanted to push that step further or go further. When they asked me to be the face and voice of safety for FMCSA, that was started in 2018. And when they called and asked me to come in and they actually brought a bunch of us in at the Mid-America Truck Show while they were there, and they had this big room set up. And they're like, "Hey, we need you to go down." Actually, Alan Voya said, "Would you go down there and like just read a script for them and see, there's a bunch of people that they want to have that done, and you were one that they Googled and found." And I'm like, okay. So I got down there, and if you look at my Facebook this week, you'll notice I put a post on there. And on that post, it has the craziest facial expressions in my, I guess, what is that? They do a clip and they interview, or they see what you look like on film. And I'm like, oh my God, they're never gonna use me because I have all these like facial expressions. So it was like, I won't have to worry about it. I won't be on their billboards. And it was like, I'll be dead
Boom.
blame. Guess who got on the billboards? So I went up and spent a couple of days with FMCSA, and there really are black SUVs. There really are, and they have like blacked out windows. But if you see the hatch open on them and cameras out hanging out the back, that makes it even more interesting. So we ran the Beltway for like 2 days, and then we filmed, and they also used that for a lot of their other stuff. I dedicated and volunteered. Now, let me say that is I volunteered all my time for that. I volunteered everything I've ever done for FMCSA. Well, basically anybody was a volunteer thing. I mean, I paid my own fuel. I had supplied my own truck and trailer. I gave my time, and I wouldn't trade it for $1 million because, the safety campaign of Our Roads, Our Safety is so important. That's a free toolbox, and that's how I explain it. It's a toolbox that brokers, carriers, shippers, receivers, the general motoring public can utilize that information to educate how to maneuver around me safely. It also reminds me as a driver and all those drivers around me how I need to operate around the general motoring public safely.
Right.
And it's a free tool, and it's a free outreach that hasn't really gotten its due because, you pass a billboard at 75 miles an hour and it says, "Oh, it takes 2 football fields to stop a truck." And you go on down the road and you've already forgot about it. But when you start teaching kids in driver's education, or you start reiterating and re-educating the elderly, or you start reminding that one that gets their CDL, these are the things that just needs to be taken into account with that. So that's a huge thing with me. So yeah, I didn't go looking for my name on a truck stop or my face on the front page of USA Today. Somehow it's found me, and it's just a blessing. I just want to utilize and use it for other people, and for other people to see what the truck driver lifestyle is, or to see how do we live, or to see how they can be safer. I want it to be about everybody. It's not about Ingrid. It's not about IB. It's about all of us, and we're all connected.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I love that you're advocating for that. I just spoke at Career Day at my son's school. And even though they were, 12, 13 years old, I told every single one of them when they're driving alongside a truck, when you're in front of a truck or behind a truck, like literally just talking about that general safety and how important it is. And because a truck can't stop that fast. And so it was kind of interesting to be able to tell the class and talk about it, because it's important, because most people don't realize it. When I see people on the roads cutting trucks off and whatnot, I'm just like, do you even know what you're doing right now?
No, it doesn't cross their mind. And I started, before I left the house, I was sitting in my driveway before I pulled out, and I thought, I need to do my Memorial Day reminder that school's out. We have littles that are in 90% of the back seats of the cars, and those littles might be one of my 6, one of my 2 daughters with my 6 grandbabies, because every little out there is somebody's baby or grandbaby. And I don't know about y'all, and I mean, I know that it's the same thing with y'all. How many times do we get in the car that you have a little that is distracting? It doesn't matter whether you hear them go, ouch, and you literally stop to wonder why they said ouch. And it's usually because their brother or sister has knocked them or, thrown something at them or something. But, I mean, it's something that you have to watch out for, because it's not that they choose to be distracted or we choose to be. I mean, I can get 6 of them in the car with me, and the chaos in the car and the laughter will, will throw you off. So, out like it is today, and now that summer's out and most schools are out,
Yeah.
is a reminder that, it's for us to drive defensively for other people. That doesn't mean that I don't always need to be the defensive one. It means that I need to stay alert because somebody else isn't being defensive. Um,
Correct.
so I'm out here to protect anybody around me, before I protect myself.
So, question, obviously this is a passion for you. Is there something that motivated you to do this, or is it just because you're out there and you've seen what's happened, or just the lack of education?
I think I've witnessed so many years, and I'm saying complacent for so many in the industry. And it happens to every driver. If they say it doesn't happen, I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna hang your britches on a nail. Um, when I realized that we didn't have an outlet way back when, are we froze?
No, you're
No,
good.
Okay, okay.
no,
When we
we're
didn't
just
have an
listening
outlet,
intently.
okay. No, it popped up and it was like my mouth was froze. I'm like, anyway, when I realized that, when we started getting any type of cell phones, when we started getting any type of computer communication, and I realized that, people are more distracted. There's more wrecks. I'm seeing things in front of me that I've never seen before. I don't like it. And I'm
Nope.
talking about lives taken and gone too soon, uh, and the complacency that people were getting in, whether it be truck driver or somebody getting in a car going to the store. Um, it made me realize that if I could just use my big mouth for something more than rattling off and babbling, then I needed to do more than what I was doing.
Right.
Um, and I didn't. I'm persistent. I'm very persistent. I'm persistent to the point that I'm not going to stop if I believe in something. Um, and this is something that's really, really important because it affects, like I said, it affects my babies, it
Yeah,
Yep.
affects your babies.
Yes.
So
everybody.
that's,
Everyone's.
yeah, yeah. And I'll never shut up about it. I mean, I'm sure people probably get tired of it, but
No.
sorry,
No.
get over it.
Yeah.
But
No.
yeah, that's how I got into it. Christy, was literally watching around me. And there's so many different areas. I mean, it doesn't involve just drivers. It involves, brokers thinking about, where are you sending a truck into? Where are you sending a truck into? Um, is this a safe place? And is this a place that you need to think about telling the driver, hey, hold up at the safe place an hour out and go in for your appointment? Don't go into that area until that time.
Correct.
We've seen too many people's lives taken while they've been parked somewhere that they shouldn't have. I mean, it's a personal. I guess you could say it's. Do you decide to help people and help protect people and make their lives better and easier and safer? Or do you just just going in to deliver? So it affects shippers. It affects every single body there is. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
I agree. I agree, and I'm really passionate about this because I've had this conversation most recently, and I'm going, not just to adapt it because I believe it, but I'm going to be very forceful about it. And it all relates to 49 CFR 392.7 about equipment maintenance and usage. And the one thing that really kicks my ass that I just can't handle is when people say they can't do pre-checks because they don't get freaking paid for it. I think it's BS. I think it's irresponsible for many, not just the driver, because the driver is being irresponsible to his family, to other people on the road, to the shipper, to the broker, if they don't do a pre-check, because you're talking about a brand, you're talking about an image, you're talking about your reputation as a professional driver that's out there, that it's the number one test on a CDL license that you must pass the pre-check examination. It's not an alternative or option. It's a mandatory law that it has to be done, and
Right.
you have to fill out your DVIR, whether electronically or on a piece of paper. And I'll tell you, as a shipper, I've seen some stuff over the years, and I'm sure you have, Ingrid, because we were in the industry the same amount of time. I don't want on my shoulders knowing that I dispatched a driver that chose not to check his tires, and he's out on the highway, blows a front passenger wheel, makes a swerve, and takes out a family of four, to your point. I could not handle that. And I stress that to the shippers all the time, because it's not just about dispatching carriers, picking up freight, on-time delivery, appointment. Safety is first. And people
Right.
just don't recognize that. It's terrible.
I'll say this. I'll add this to it, Jeff. Anybody that complains that they're not getting paid for it, so they're not going to do it,
Mm-hmm.
they're either brand new in the industry or they need to exit left. And I mean that. And
Yep.
when I say that, you know, you never heard anybody complain about not getting paid for a pre-trip until recently. So you know that it's not those that were prior to the start of the complaint. Now, if anybody doesn't, if they think I'm skirting the issue, well, here you go. Where did this come from? The new era of I need to get paid for pre-trip. Okay, I'm going to throw this too out there is if they don't care for their own safety, at least care for somebody else and everybody else's safety. I delivered in Greencastle, PA, Friday. And I came out of Greencastle, came down to Harrisburg, and I saw rubber coming off of a container. And I jumped in the left lane because I knew what was going to happen. The guy didn't stop. And it didn't stop. Small pieces start out with, so everybody pay attention. If you see small pieces, either get far away behind them, don't do what I did, because I'll tell you why I did it. I knew what was fixing to happen because he didn't slow down, he didn't stop. And we were coming into 60 mile an hour, the actual busy section on 81 right there. I jumped in the left lane and I stayed far enough behind him that nobody could get between he and I, and trying to get his attention to where hopefully he would finally pull over, or I knew it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I knew if a car got up beside of him and this happened, I knew that I could take this worse than a car could. I mean, easier than a car could. And all of a sudden, it didn't take probably maybe a mile and a half.
Boom.
And it went pow. And when it did, if there had been a car passing him, up on him, whatever, it would have taken the windshield out. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm not like making stuff up, because, and I'm not making this up either. The tire, when it blew, came across the top of my truck and across the top of and hit on this left side, and it went straight down to the wheel. The wheel started, and then he's like throwing sparks, and I backed off enough. When I heard it, I hit the brakes that I could try to keep people off of him,
right,
to protect them.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't do anything like special. But here's the thing: if he'd have done a pre-trip, there's no
So,
doubt, because
yep.
he had just got on the ramp 2 exits behind me. No. If you feel like you need to get paid and you drive a truck for a pre-trip, do me a favor. Either sit down and rethink this, and why we do one, or maybe this is not for you, because if you can't put safety first, then we really don't need you out here, because I don't want to go through that again. I've thought and thought this
Yep.
over and over and replayed how this could have happened. I mean, this could have gone south for me.
Well, question for you. Like, when you're driving a truck, do you know or notice, does it feel different when that's about to happen? Or do you realize once it's happened? Or, because sometimes I've seen trucks driving that have the tire has come off and they're still driving down the road.
Still driving. Idiots. Yeah.
Now, if it's on the, of course, if it's on the tractor, you can feel it. And 9 times out of 10, if it's on the trailer, of course you can feel it. A low tire, not as much. But now here's the thing: this guy was throwing enough little rubber pieces off of that tire prior to it exploding.
Mm-hmm.
If he was looking in his mirror, you couldn't miss the trail of tire gators that were laying in the road. I mean, and it's obvious if you were looking in the, you'd have seen the first one come off.
Yeah.
So I think that we, as drivers, need to police ourselves a whole lot better in paying attention to these things. But Christy, yes, you can tell when one goes. Now, when one goes like that and that wheel hits the ground, I can promise you, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel not only in the ride of the bump, but you're going to feel that grab, and you're going to see it. All you got to do is look in your mirror and see the sparks and the smoke coming up from the wheel. But, especially if it's on the tractor itself, you're going to feel when a tire gets low.
So why though would most drivers then typically not pull over if they're, say, aware that that's happening at the time? I guess you probably can't even answer that, because clearly a good
HOS, because they're going to lose money. That's the reason why they don't want to do it a lot of times. They go, oh, I want to whatever.
Yeah, I think some of that's there too. And hours of service or something that I'll tell you how I got my hands in that in a minute. I think a lot of it is, one, if I can, but I'm going to slow myself down and get myself to an exit ramp or a safe place to pull over, because with these people, I do not want me or a tech sitting on the side of the road. I don't care if I'm 5 foot off the road, 20 foot off the road, pretty much. Nobody will move over, and I don't want to put a service guy in that area anyway. But at the same time, I don't get for the fact, unless they think that they can, I can make it 30 miles to Love's, or TA's right down the road. I don't think that they are educated enough in this, and that comes with, and again, I was worst of saying, why do these new drivers not have this idea? Why don't they know? Why do they know? Why are they doing this dumb stuff? Well, guess what? I did dumb stuff until somebody that was driving with experience explained to me and taught me what to look for, how to respond, what's the best way to handle it, and all of that. Nobody gives these new drivers any of this education. Right. They put them through 14, 16-day schools, put them with a trainer that hasn't been out there long enough for anybody to tell them anything, and then they ship them out cross country. So now they got to figure it out themselves, and a lot of times they have absolutely no clue whatsoever. That's why it takes the village to make a truck driver now. Yeah. It can't take just the company. It takes the village to make a truck driver now. I'll repeat that a bazillion times. But that's exactly what it is, Christy, is 90%, I don't think, have a clue what to do, what's really going on, and how bad it can be or is. Right. Until they literally can't roll any farther.
Yeah, it comes down to a shipper responsibility too. Like when I was running a big, huge operation, I would have my dock supervisor mandatory. When that guy bumps the dock, he is to walk around that trailer and primarily look at directionals, look at the glad handles on the airline brakes, and then look at the tires. If it's okay, fine. Walk inside the trailer. If you see some skin that's torn up, I used to have the tar aluminum in my office, so we used to do a patch job, you know. But
Mhm.
I mean, if it made it mandatory that shippers had to do this, you might save a life. That every time a trailer bumps your dock, as a responsible shipper, you should walk with that driver and make sure that happens on every single load. I mean, some people think I'm nuts, but I'm telling you, I think it would add a great deal of safety to that if it was a mandatory requirement when you're putting 80,000-pound missile on the road with bad tires and you allow that to happen. It's terrible.
When I'm going to say this, I think it's an absolutely great idea. And here's the thing, and I'm looking at this from both sides of,
Mhm.
okay, the shipper side, they're not going to want to take the time from somebody they're paying on the warehouse to what they think the driver should have done, and that equipment should be, as you say, when it comes on their lot and back in the dock. Okay, I get that. And on the driver's side, then the driver's going to be like, "Oh, here we go. We're getting mandated again. Somebody's, doubting us or questioning me." Well, guess what? I would rather know that some second set of eyes looked at something that I may have missed.
Right.
Or if I was that person that was that argumentative about it, then I would probably question, if you're that argumentative, did you do one to begin with?
Right. I mean, I think that's just what it
You
comes
shouldn't have
down to.
anything to hide. Yeah.
Right.
It's being responsible, not just for yourself, like you mentioned, but everyone else around you, and learning from others. But I do think sometimes trucking companies that put those drivers in there also have to do a better job. Like you said, some of them probably do a really good job of the education, and others are just not, because they don't feel they have to, especially when they are putting people in those trucks too that don't even speak languages in some of these areas, and not even being able to understand like certain areas they go into as well. So
I'm finding too, Chrissy, with so many of those, if you just take the time and treat that, any of those incidences or any interactions with kindness, just like you would want anybody to treat you,
yeah,
and
right,
help, it
right,
makes a huge difference. Huge difference. And
right,
the honestly, the communication barrier is not as thick as everybody makes it to be.
True.
It's not that thick. It's a
right.
very easy to fix. I mean, and to maneuver and work with. Um, I've met some amazing people that we learn to communicate. Uh, but even though we may not speak the same language, I am down at Otay Mesa all the time, and it's not just a Spanish or Hispanic or whatever culture. It's an everywhere culture
Right.
that's down there now, and I kind of shocked myself because I thought, now how am I going to communicate with my hillbilly accent, And it has. I mean, it's to the point that I actually have more step out and offer to open a door, watch my blind side, anything, without any communication. You just understand it. It's the fact of accepting it. As long as I accept it, then the understanding can be there.
Right.
Yep. Agree.
Well, we're going to take a quick break and go to our sponsors, and then we'll be back and get into some questions.
Sounds good.
Yay.
So, starting off, our good friends at Freight Validate. Freight Validate, the ultimate identity and compliance verification system for the logistics industry. Freight Validate empowers shippers, brokers, carriers, and more to ensure compliance with regulations and mitigate fraud risks. With Freight Validate, you can easily verify entities, compliance status, and identify potential threats within minutes. Don't risk your business with unverified carriers or brokers. Choose Freight Validate for peace of mind. Learn more at freightvalidate.com and start your verification process today.
Freight Validate, revolutionizing identity and compliance verification for shippers, brokers, and motor carriers with cutting-edge technology. Now, experience the power of voice-activated information retrieval with Siri and Alexa. Hey Siri, check Freight Validate.
Sure, what's the MC number?
387211.
The company Direct Expedite LLC is a broker and is freight validated. Company ownership has completed facial recognition verification. Basic company identity verification, risk assessment, and compliance info has been verified by freightvalidate.com. Please follow company protocols for additional safety and compliance vetting. For more information, please go to freightvalidate.com.
Freight Validate ensures complete access to our state-of-the-art identity and compliance verification system. Speed, accuracy, and savings all in one package. Don't miss out. Upgrade to Freight Validate today. Fraud starts with fraud. It ends with Freight Validate.
And our next sponsor is Thai Software. Thai Software simplifies freight management for brokers, offering an all-in-one platform for quoting, booking, tracking shipments for LTL and truckload. Learn more at thaisoftware.com.
Brokering, success demands a battle-ready strategy. Thai TMS equips brokers with the ultimate battle station for conquering a tough market. With Thai, brokers gain access to a comprehensive platform where rate intelligence and quote history converge on a single screen. It's not just a page. It's a strategic command center designed to help brokers win. Thai equips your team with all the data they need to negotiate with confidence and allows them to communicate directly with carriers and customers from a simple control base. Revolutionize the way your brokers perform by giving them a competitive advantage with Thai TMS. For more info, scan the QR code or go to thai-software.com/battlestation.
And our last sponsor is TAFS. TAFS Inc., providing transportation factoring solutions to boost profits and increase cash flow for small and medium-sized companies. Contact TAFS at tafs.com to elevate your financial success.
Trucking excellence meets unparalleled service. Enjoy exclusive benefits like our fantastic tire discounts. Need cash fast? Try our 1-hour advances. Plus, we're here for you 365 days a year. Need loads? We have a pro dispatch service. This is why TAFS was recognized as the top factoring company in 2023. You'll benefit from strategic partnerships for enhanced operations. Access business loans and manage your finances easily with our client portal, F2 Fuel Card, and mobile app. At TAFS Factoring, we're more than just a factoring company. We're your partner in success. Contact us today to see how we can help your trucking business thrive.
Awesome. We got through that pretty fast.
We did.
Yeah. So welcome back. I know we were on a certain subject, but I want to ask you a question real quick and kind of get it, sneaking in there. So as a longstanding member of the Women in Trucking, along with being a truck driver for long as you have, what has it looked like for women in the industry in general? Like, how has that transformed over the years? What have you seen, and what do you think we still need to work on?
The biggest thing that's changed, Christy, is probably equipment and, having the necessities, showers. We used to not have our own showers, and equipment. Equipment now is so much easier for me to reach pedals and me to, reach, operate that kind of thing. I've always had to find my niche of how I do stuff. And I found that I can pretty much do anything I need to do to get my job done. But I'm not scared to ask for help either. Just like, the guys, if they tell you they don't know, I've never asked for help, they're full of it. So, the things that have changed is, to the good, is the equipment, of course. And also, truck stops, shippers, receivers. Those all have the improvements in those have just been crazy. I can remember when the first poll came out that we were 1%. Women were 1%. And I was like, listen, there were like, story time. There were 6 of us that ran from over here on the East Coast to California solos. I've always ran by myself, all but about 4 years. And so at the time, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have anything. So we would leave notes at the truck stops. And there were a few rest areas that we would. Is there a time that I won't go to jail for this? But anyway, it should be what the time's run out. We used to write notes down the posts, like Van Horn, Texas, over there on 10. And we would stop, and there was a rock wall. If we needed to leave each other something, we'd stop and check the wall or check the notes on the post. That we would use whiteout pens or whiteout. And we'd like write, where I'm going, when I'm going to be there, and draw a line underneath it and put the date. And, or, just things like that. We'd leave notes at the fuel desks or whatever. And people thought we were just crazy. But I mean, it was our communication. It was our way of communicating. I mean, I look at it today and I'm like, I really would I'd give my cell phone up in a heartbeat to go back to those days,
Yeah.
because those were days that you work to have a friendship. You work to make sure that other person was okay, even though it may be 2 or 3 days difference or behind or whatever. Um, you took the time for it to matter. So those are the things that have changed. Being able to have more women in the industry has been awesome.
Yeah.
Being able to throw stuff out there about, whether it's your kids, your grandkids, or, relationship stuff, um, or even finding out how they do stuff, and they find easier, simpler ways to get something, you know, or you can share with them or mentor with them. Um, because my mentors were the guys. I grew up with the guys telling me how to do this and that and the other, or answering questions, and it would, got to the point it was like I was like one of the guys. Um, so it was nice to have that feminine side back out here with us. And, we need that. We need that. I always say, you know, God created men and women different. It doesn't mean that we can't do the same things. It's just that we do them different. He made women where, we're that nurturing mama and having babies. And when all hell breaks loose, we react emotionally before we react to figure out what to do. And with guys, it's like God made them physical and rational. So when all hell breaks loose, they fix it, take care of it, and then they have the emotions. And it's a balance. It's a sweet balance. And it's awesome how that now is starting to combine and come together. So I think having women in the industry hasn't softened the industry. I think that it's boosted the industry. Women think, and I know, don't you guys get mad at me for saying this, is that women have slowed the process of the stop and think before you act. In other words, we do. We women stop and we think things sometimes way too much, but we think things through before we react. And men actually, take in and they fix all this stuff and then ever. And I think it helps both sides. You know, when I coined this phrase years ago, and a lot of people use it, is my steering wheel doesn't know the gender that holds it, and it doesn't care.
Sure.
The point is, it gets from point A to point B safely, not just for the person holding it, not just for the people around it, but for the commodity. And that's our number one goal right there for all of this. Logistics and supply chain, throw it out the door. The whole thing is the commodity gets from point A to point B safely in the best condition it can and in a timely manner that it can feed your family or you can blow your nose on it. I mean, it's I'm glad I didn't say what it came to my mind.
Well, speaking of there being more women now, so when you go to truck stops and stuff like that, and you run into other women, are you always meeting new women and like, are you reaching out and introducing yourself, or do you find other women to be standoffish? Just curious.
I Okay, girls, now it's y'all's turn to get pissed off at me. Um, I find it that it's kind of a 50-50. You don't know what's going to happen, you know? I think this month must be a good month because most everybody I've spoke to, they've spoke back.
Yay.
Well, almost. Anyway, it's really neat because I catch women watching me. I catch women, they don't want me to know it. And it's like,
Oh.
come on now. It ain't going to hurt you to let me know you watching because I'm watching you and I'll just tell you. It is. It's kind of a 50-50 of what you're going to get reaction. I'd love to say that it was 90-10 to where you could speak to somebody coming in and out of the truck stop, or you could speak to them standing at a shipper receiver or whatever, and you're going to get a positive whatever. But I see that as a general.
That's
I
interesting.
can't say it works. It doesn't work all the time. Okay, so girls, I'm going to give you a challenge. You girls out there that are watching this, you need to at least speak to 50%, 75% of all the women. Just say, hey, just nod. Just, it's sad in a lot of ways because it breaks my heart because I'm that one that's going to walk up to you and go, hi, how are you? I'm Ingrid.
I was going to say, you need to be that woman. Break the sign.
I do it all the time. And I get some that are like, oh my gosh, nobody ever they don't ever speak to me. They don't notice me. And I think that may be part of it is they're not sure that they're being noticed for the fact that, you care, or they're being noticed because you're nosy, or they're being noticed because they're being critiqued. And none of us likes that. So, I think the approach of being the positive influence is I just want to tell you, hey, I just want to tell you I'm glad to see you out here. And I sure am glad that you're here. And, I will hand somebody a card in a heartbeat and say, hey, I don't care if you've been driving 3 days or 30 years. If you need something and I can help, if I can't help, I'll surely find somebody that can. I think that's the thing. I think that we're at a 50-50 stance on whether somebody's going to react in a positive way or whether somebody's going to react in a negative way.
Something in regards to that, I think what it really comes down to, Ingrid, is whether or not they can accept constructive criticism, because that's what it is. You're not trying to belittle them and tell them something that, hey, you know what, you're doing it wrong. But if you say, the reasons why you're talking to them and what you've noticed, and then use your past history, I'm just trying to help. Don't take this wrong, but I see that your straps on the flatbed are flapping in the wind. If you twist them a little bit, that will stop them from shaking in the wind and coming loose and all this other kind of stuff. Just like that kind of stuff. So I don't know why they would act that way. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and it's just even speaking. It's even just speaking in and out of the truck stop. But you're exactly right. And I have found that if I take an experience, okay, one, I hate advice, and two, I hate opinions. All right. Opinions and advice are absolutely worthless. I don't care who you are. I don't care how you think that your opinion or your advice is going to help somebody. You're full of caca. Okay. If you have experience, I would love to hear it, because experience means I can listen to what happened. I can see what your outcome was. I can then choose if I want to do it the way you did it and either have the same outcome, hopefully,
Yeah.
or my outcome may be a little different, or I might choose to do it different and have my outcome up. Yeah. So I've chosen to use my experience type
Hmm.
thing in trying to help do that.
Right.
In other words, somebody's having a problem backing in somewhere. It's not a telling them how they need to do it. In
Right.
other words, my thing is that just happened to me yesterday, and it was just, it just befuddled me, and it got me irritated, and I just lost all concentration with it. And it just sucks. It's kind of like, well, I had to start regrouping, and I had to start looking at my setup, and I had to start looking at how much was I overcorrecting, and starting to put in the things that would help them by using my experience rather than trying to tell them how to do it.
Yeah.
Um, that's the thing that I've had to learn, because you know what? I've only learned it because I'm the same exact way.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I'm talking to myself every time I talk to somebody else.
Right. How many women compared to men are now truck drivers?
Well, they say it's at 12%. Okay. That's
Okay.
like this, 12%. I can see 12%, but I still don't see 12%, because it seems like just 2 or 3 years ago we were at like 7 to 9%, and I don't see that many more women out here. I really don't. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not
Let me ask
seeing
this.
a buku of women.
Right. So, with your extensive experience, what initiatives or strategies do you believe are most effective in promoting gender equality and empowering women to be truck drivers?
That anybody can do it. And when I say that anybody can do it, I mean, I don't care if you're an empty nester. I
Hmm.
don't care if you're a single new mom. I don't care if you're an 18-year-old that just graduated high school. You can still go to a CDL school. You can get a CDL and drive in state, inside your state, for 3 years, and then choose what you want to do from there and get tons of experience and get paid the same thing that
Mm,
if you were leaving the state. So at
Yeah.
18, not not just to say that there's local and regional for those mamas that have babies and they're single parents. There's not just those widows that have just lost their spouse. Not to
right.
say it's not that 60-year-old woman that I was working with last year that went to CDL school because she had retired from her government job and
Hmm.
decided that she wanted to do something and she couldn't sit at home. She couldn't
Right.
stand retirement. So my thing is it doesn't matter your gender on it, but ladies, I have done nothing in this industry, nothing that any other woman can't do. I don't
All right.
care what it
Let me
is.
ask you
You
this. You mentioned it earlier, right? About being a flatbed driver. Now, that's tough, especially when you have to handle those tarps, right? Those are heavy tarps. How did you do it? And how could you persuade a woman who's thinking about getting into flatbed, but they say the same thing I'm saying right now? How did you do it? How did you overcome doing that?
It's because they like dirt, right, Ingrid?
That's it.
I'm
That's
not
it.
going to say
They're
that,
they're
but
mud puppies. They're mud puppies like me. No,
right.
seriously, okay. And I mean, I don't mean this in any demeaning manner. So anybody gonna take offense to this, you just get over it. It doesn't matter age, shape, size, weight, whatever. Okay, you can do anything you want to do. You find your way to do it. You know how I tighten the straps down?
Oh,
Well, it sure wasn't the fact that I was 6 foot tall, 6'3", 6'2", whatever, and I could take my big old frame and crank down on a thing. I found my extension bar. And then I found out that where I needed a position so I could get my heavy leverage on it.
yeah.
Tarps, let me tell you. You find ways to get them to put tarps on their forklift and lift them on top of the load, and you don't have
Don't
to
open
put
them.
the load up there. Not at the same time. Here's
Mm.
the thing. There's always somebody there when you get loaded and unloaded,
So,
you know? So why not ask for help? These guys ask for help all day long. There's no reason. And it's same thing. You have your way that you fold your tarps. You find out how to fold them. That's the easiest for you to maneuver those tarps around. You find out where's the best placement in your box.
right.
Okay. I couldn't
Yep.
use a headache rack other than for my chains and my binders. All my tarps, they went on the top on the front deck or in my boxes between my tandems
Mhm.
because that was the easiest place. It's down on my level.
Right.
Yeah.
I was able to pull those tarps out, then get those guys, boom, put them up top, get up top. Now, I'm not going to say I did not sit for 2 hours in a rest area one day because I kicked my ladder off and I just sat on the top swinging my feet because I couldn't get it. I wasn't going to get down. But, and these things
Love it.
happen. They do. I
Yeah.
mean, I literally, and it was the sweetest little old man. And he's like, looks like you're having a nice day. And I'm like, yes, sir. Well, yeah, kind of.
You're like, I'm
He
up here getting
goes,
a tan.
yeah, he said,
Right.
So, I mean, well,
yeah.
you're talking about some challenges, and you brought up some things earlier in regard, well, maybe challenges, things that are different that women would maybe steer away from, or the fact that they didn't have like showers. Like, what are some other unique challenges you faced in the industry being a woman that maybe you've had to overcome, or maybe today they've, like you've already mentioned, now you have showers and they didn't have showers, but what other unique things in the past and what do you think has come, I guess, the furthest today to help women?
Um, the topic of parking comes up everywhere. It comes up all over everywhere because we all know that the parking we have those massive problems of parking. I think learning from one another of how we should be looking at parking as women. We have more choices now. And
Mhm.
I say more choices. We had the same ones before, but we have some of the private companies that are coming in. Let's see, Evan came up with what truck club.
Yeah.
I've
Yep.
been working with a gentleman down in below Dallas that's they're fixing to break ground on a large facility of just truck parking for OTR.
Yep.
Finding these things has become so much easier. Before it's always been that you just made sure you protected yourself. You made sure where you parked. You made sure that it's as crazy as scheduling when you're going to go to the bathroom. Okay. You're going to go before you go to bed. Okay. You're going to hit through the fuel line and run in and go to the bath. And y'all can get mad. I'm going to go to the fuel line and run to the bathroom and I'll be right back out. Just hold your horses. And things like that. You have to start looking at what are your options, what works best for you, and how are you going to handle if you've got to go to downtown Chicago. You know, I pre-planning, I think is not my gig. Okay, I've never said gig. Anyway, sorry, I entertain myself often.
Well, hey, we're welcome to
um,
be a part of that. So keep it up.
yeah, yeah. I think the biggest thing is parking, that kind of thing. I think finding companies. Now that I did deactivate and I'm a company driver, I think finding the company and finding who is your best fit. I think you need to look outside of money, where everybody looks at money first and equipment and this kind of thing. I think you need to look at how does the people that own the company and who is going to be running you looks at you as a female, and it's going to take how you feel and what you choose in your career. How are they going to take that? Are they going to look at you and go, whatever, just go do the job? Or are they going to take it and say, I see what you say, what you mean, and I know that means something to you. Let's, we'll work at it together. I think that's a huge thing, and I think that other drivers can be such a great tool. I mean, drivers to drivers are your biggest tools that there are.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, speaking of that, I know we're coming up to the hour or at the hour now, but I wanted to ask you briefly too, because you are out there and obviously an inspiration to many people out there. Do you find yourself with women, asking you to be their mentor, other than you just providing your help and your assistance? Because being a woman truck driver out there, maybe that's something that other women can look up to, and you can really help them find their path.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I'm open to anybody. It doesn't matter. I'm open to anybody. You can find me, as y'all know, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram, but I usually am like, I suck at it. I stink at Instagram.
That's all right.
So I do. I just, and Twitter, you can forget that one. That ain't gonna work. But no, yes, I do find myself that I have had, and I do have people that reach out to me, and I'm so willing to share. And it's not Ingrid's way, it's not my way at all. So please, anybody is more than welcome to reach out. Shoot me a message. Shoot me at rolandbllc@gmail.com. You can email me. Good luck, because I don't check that but about one time a day, and that's when I go to bed and wind down. But no, I mean,
No,
this
that's
industry's
awesome.
amazing. This industry's amazing, y'all. And I appreciate both of y'all being in it.
Yeah, no, well, we appreciate you as well, and obviously advocating for the drivers out there, specifically the women drivers, and how you can help them. And so, I mean, I guess the last thing we'll ask is, what piece of advice would you give everyone out there?
Don't ever say you can't do something. There are tools, there are people, there are associations. Don't feel like that, oh, I don't want to be part of a group. There's individuals. There's so much at everybody's fingertip right now. So utilize it, take it, reach out to other drivers. If somebody doesn't speak to you, speak to them, go find, ask questions. We make our own career, we make our own path, and we make our own success.
Yeah, I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
I definitely agree.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with everyone.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We loved it.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Ingrid, thank you so much for coming on the show, especially today being Memorial Day. I appreciate it. Hopefully this is a day of rest for you, because you are at a truck stop. Hopefully, maybe. No.
Pulled over special for us.
I'm headed to Florida. I'm going west this week. Yes, I'm headed to Florida. I've got to do that this week, because I have to fly back up to the Cancer Treatment Center next week and spend a week up there. And then, so I'm doing this week in Florida.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Ingrid, for coming on the show. I thought we had a great conversation. Hopefully we can have you back on at some point in the future if you're available, because I know you're very, very busy, but we do appreciate you.
Never too busy for you two. And thank you for all you do. I appreciate you both.
Absolutely. Thank you, and be safe out there on those roads.
I will.
Yes. First and foremost, please.
Thank you. Happy Memorial Day. God bless you.
Yes,
thank you.
as well.
Same to you. And thank you all to our audience who took the time out of their holiday to join Christy, myself, and Ingrid, a professional driver. You'll see her out on the road, I'm pretty sure, someday, some month, somewhere. But please continue to follow the Storytelling Chronicles, Empowering Women into Logistics. We go live every single Monday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you soon. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye.